Hey guys, Stephen Bogren here from Pro Physique. Today what I want to talk about is, are all protein sources created equal? So hey guys, hope you're all having a great Wednesday. In case any of you forgot, I am a solid right swipe. Suckers! So thank you for the gift, Misty and Paul. I got a couple Valentine's Day gifts from friends that came early, client and obviously the Misty and Paul one. So thank you guys very much, I do appreciate them. I promise you one day I will get a girlfriend and you won't have to give me shit anymore. As to the question at hand, is all protein created equal? Now this was a question from one of my clients that I got in an email, and literally I just got the question and I was like, that's such a good fucking question that I think that I'm just going to do a video. I'm not even going to reply to you in the email. I'm going to tell you, hey, I'm going to put a video out on this on the YouTube later. And so the question is pertaining to, are animal proteins better than plant proteins? Are plant proteins inferior? Like, what's the difference? I really wanted to incorporate more of these plant proteins into my diet, and I'm kind of getting sick and fucking tired of chicken all the time. So is it gonna matter? Is it going to be a detriment to my success, to my health? Talk to me, coach. What the fuck's going on? And she wasn't, she just asked the question plainly, but I wanted to soup it up a little bit. And I think the best answer to this question is it depends. Now, the big thing that we have to consider is amino acid profiles and full amino acid profiles. When we're getting a full amino acid profile, that means we're getting all of our essential and some of the conditionally essential amino acids, right? Typically, what we're going to refer to is simply getting all of our essential amino acids. So what that means is all the amino acids or building blocks of protein that the body cannot synthesize or make, that we have to get via dietary intake, right? Now there are a lot of amino acids that are non-essential, which means our body can make them up, and not a big issue. There are some that are conditionally essential, which means sometimes our body can make them up, essentially, right? So we want to make sure that we are getting all of our essential amino acids. Now, the nice part about animal proteins is it has automatically all of your essential amino acids, right? And so when we're getting a full amino acid profile, and this is the big thing, the debate about branched chain amino acids versus full spectrum amino acids, and this is kind of what that gets into, right? So we, obviously, if we don't have a full spectrum of amino acids, it's going to be hard to build a muscle that is built of all amino acids, right? Fuck. So, nice part about animal proteins, full spectrum of amino acids. Now, plant proteins, a lot of them don't have the full spectrum of essential amino acids. Now, there are some things like quinoa, however the fuck you want to say it. I don't know. Fuck, somebody please inform me. Natalie Matthews, if you're watching this, tell me how to pronounce that, because I'm stupid. But anyway, so quinoa has a full spectrum of essential amino acids, right? So it's a complete protein, and that's what when we say a complete protein, we mean all of our essential amino acids, okay? So animal proteins automatically have that, right? Chicken, beef, fish, eggs, all those, that's great. Some, like non-animal sources will still have that. However, a lot of the times we have to mix and match our kind of vegetarian or vegan options in terms of what we're looking for full spectrum amino acid profiles or a complete protein. Now, soy, great, full spectrum. And then I believe, tofu, that's the other one. Also, full spectrum. So there are some options out there that we don't have to worry about in terms of like full spectrum amino acids, complete proteins, on those more vegetarian, vegan, veggie sides, kind of diet size. And I have a lot of vegan clients. I have at least 15 vegan clients at this point in time who do not eat animal proteins. So one of the main things that you just want to be very cautious and aware of if you are going to start getting away from the more animal proteins is making sure, so if you're still going to incorporate some animal proteins, perfect, fine. Get a decent serving of animal proteins, supplement it with extra, non-animal protein sources or vegetable, veggie protein sources. Not a big deal. We're still getting enough of our essential amino acids. We're getting enough leucine to spike muscle protein synthesis dietarily, or, in other words, eating enough protein so that our body is repairing and making new proteins, right? Training does this as well as a stimulus, but we can do that nutritionally also. So making sure that we're doing that with our protein, making sure that we're eating enough of said protein and getting enough of things like leucine and our essential amino acids per meal, okay? Doing that as well. And then you don't have to only have chicken as all of your protein, right? So if I'm eating 220 grams of protein a day, maybe 150, 160 grams of that protein is coming from animal sources. And then a lot of the other stuff is coming from, vegetable proteins, maybe some like cheese or milk proteins or something like that as well. It's not all coming from animal protein, right? So don't think that we have to get straight 200 from animal sources either, right? There's different ways to make that work. As long as you are getting enough of your amino acids, and that's what this is gonna come back to over and over and over again. So it's not necessarily that chicken is better than, a whole wheat bread and peanut butter or something, right? Or like black beans and brown rice. It's not that there's one is necessarily better than the other, it's just that how do we make that work? So if you are looking at going to some of that, away from some of the animal proteins, incorporating them less and incorporating more of some of those vegetarian or vegan options for your proteins, what you need to do is, one, make sure that you are keeping an eye on your carbohydrates, because they're still going to need to fit your total daily macros in terms of, our energy intake. One of the tricky parts can be having a hard time keeping your carbohydrates down or within your goals, but still hitting proteins while we're incorporating more of those. And that's going to come down to a lot of experience, choices, and then making sure that we're just, getting used to making that work. So I think that's one of the big issues that a lot of people come into, is that they're like, well, hey coach, I don't want to incorporate as much animal protein. I also don't want to be drinking fucking like pea protein shakes every single day or soy protein shakes every single meal. How do I make that work? And for a lot of people, it's going to be, we're probably going to have to incorporate a lot of supplementation in terms of like maybe pea protein, isolate shakes. Maybe we're doing soy proteins, those kind of things. Tofu, that kind of stuff. But there are still options. Experience is going to be a great teacher in terms of incorporating more of those food choices and sources into your diet. But again, it's just really making sure that we're getting the, I'm a broken record, complete amino acid profile or a complete protein source within our meals. A lot of people gripe about, being a vegan is it's not the same. As long as you are getting your amino acid profiles, I don't think it matters. I've seen plenty of phenomenal vegan athletes. I've seen plenty of phenomenal non-vegan athletes, right? So we don't need to necessarily try and delineate between, chicken versus vegetarian or meat versus not meat. We just want to make sure that in terms of our needs physiologically and our protein needs, we're getting those met with full and complete amino acid profiles. So whether that means eating chicken, fish, beef, pork, whatever it might be, or whether that means eating brown rice and black beans, whether that means whole wheat and peanut butter, whether that means tofu or pea protein isolate, whatever it might be, just so we're making sure that we're paying attention to those important details to make sure that our nutrition is in fact enough for the needs that we have, right? So the answer is kind of, it depends, but the answer really, as long as you're paying attention to the details, is that it doesn't matter. One is not necessarily better than the other. One takes probably a little bit more effort and experience and attention to detail than the other. So hopefully that answers your question. That's it. That's all I fucking got. I'm done.